In this video, I'm not sure exactly how to get into it because the whole purpose of it is not to try to defend myself. It's really kind of the opposite. It's to make the point of how when you let lies into your life, it makes a big difference in your life and keeps you in a certain dysfunction. So it's dealing with a lot of comments that all of a sudden I'm getting about my life in the social media and into tabloids, which is the second time around. The first time I sold the house to Charlie Sheen when he was still having some issues, and so they interviewed me, and I ended up in tabloids all over the world. It's kind of happened again because of the success of my daughter Kelsey and her being on The Bachelor and bringing certain things up about me, many of them which are half stories or aren't true. So I wanted to first of all set just a couple records straight, not again to defend myself so much, but to show how the whole picture or the whole story changes. And then I'm going to finish it up with why it's so important not to do things like that and how it affects your life. The first thing is in one of her comments she made, speaking with Peter, she made it sound like I left a note for her mom and packed my bags and moved to Mexico to start a new family, and that's it. I never saw him again. And that's not even close to the truth. If you do the math, she said that was 10 years ago. I did move to Mexico a little over 10 years ago, but our divorce has been 16 years. And going back to the math thing, if you look, she's 28, almost 29 years old. In April, she will be. And according to her, I left when she was in 7th grade, which is when I did. Well, that would make her 12 or 13. So doing the math, that's 16 years. How was it that I left a note and left 10 years ago to start a new family here in Mexico? And by the way, that's where I'm filming. I'm in Baja, Mexico, Tijuana, actually. And this is where I live, right in front of the ocean. And, who can fault that? It's way different than Iowa. It's a lot better. I don't know what the weather is in Iowa today, but it's beautiful today, in the mid-60s and sunny and nice and warm. I'm in shorts. But back to the point. Those 6 years before I moved here, my girls, they didn't talk with me. And it wasn't because I didn't try. I'd go to school to pick them up, to take them for my weekend visit, and they'd be with somebody else, at their home for the weekend. I went to the house to pick them up sometimes, and they said, no, we're not going with you. And then their mother, my ex-wife Beth, would come out and just lay into me big time. I fought in court to try to get more rights, but as my lawyer told me, at the end of the day, they don't have to go with you. If they don't want to, there's nothing you can do. But I did. I went to every event they had that I knew of. Basketball games, cross country, soccer. I even coached their basketball. When Kelsey said she came home from basketball practice, she came home with me because I was her coach. And I gave them each of a letter and kind of explained some things because I wanted it where there was no emotions to it. They could just read that, okay, here's the deal. And so then I left a letter for their mother and put my ring on it. And I don't want to go through the whole letter, but the main point of the letter was I told my ex that I'm asking for divorce because of who she was, but also some of the things she did. She had taken and spent $30-some thousand on credit cards that were in my name and had them go into P.O. box somewhere else. And the way I found out about it was one day I got a call from a collection agency saying, when are you going to pay your bill? And I was like, well, I don't have a credit card with you anymore. And so they told me the P.O. box, and I started asking questions. And of course, my ex-wife lied about it for a long time until she had no choice. And the reason she didn't have a choice was I pulled up my credit report and saw 4 or 5 credit cards in my name with all these bills on them, debt on them. And I pulled up her credit report as well. So when I gave her the letter, it wasn't saying I'm leaving. It basically said, we're done as far as being married, but if you want, I can move in the basement. We keep the family somewhat the same. You live up in the master bedroom. And long and short is she said, no, you move out. So I did. And then course, my girl stopped seeing me. So here's the point of it all, because Kelsey in some of her videos made it like, oh, I idolize my mom because she had to raise us kids alone. She didn't have to. If she would have changed and done what she should have done, instead of continuing deeper and deeper into her lives, we'd still be married. The second point is if she would have allowed me to have a relationship with my girls the way I should, she wouldn't have had to raise them alone. Third point is I'm not behind. I paid all of my child support. I'm not missing even one penny that I owe her. So as a father, I did what I could. When your hands are tied, you can only do what you can do. But in the mind of Kelsey, probably because of some lies from her mother, she believes that what she says is true. And my ex-wife, the same thing. There was, many encounters I had with her, and it got worse after, I filed for divorce or said I was going to divorce her. But one time she emailed me, and I don't remember what the conversation, it really doesn't make any difference, but she was telling me, I was talking to one of my friends, and they said, if you're saying something about somebody, it's probably them doing it. And so then she said, so it's you're the problem, not me. And I emailed back and I said, look, you're sicker than I thought, because if you really believe your lies, that's just really sick. Because you and I lived the life together. I know what was said and what was done, and you know what was said and what was done. And you know what I'm speaking is truth. And I never heard from her on the subject again, because she did know. She was trying to manipulate me in a way where I believed her truth instead of what the real truth was. And of course, because I am a strong person, it didn't work. But that's how crazy you can get mentally when you start making up lies and you start telling people and trying to twist truth, and it doesn't come out right, because in the end, the truth will come out. Same thing with the lawsuit that was filed against me. There's some misconception with that. I did write a book. It was about me. And of course, because it was about me, it included people that were in my life over the years. And the truth of what I said was there were two women that I dated over the years that told me they were molested by their fathers. And in both cases, I saw the outcome of it and the dysfunction in their life. I didn't mention Beth and her father. They're the ones that took it as I was talking about them and filed a lawsuit on me. And so now all of a sudden you take something that isn't about them and they make it about them, and here we are 16 years later and it's back in the media, really deep actually, and I'm sure causing problems. The problems aren't because of me. The problems are because of them and the way they did it. And this is the craziness of it. Now I want to bring it into the light with Jesus, because I am a very spiritual man, and my daughter Kelsey made that comment that she had talked to me, and she said it was after she won Miss Iowa. It actually was before, because I didn't even know she was running. I just had it on my mind one day to call her, and God put it on my heart, and I did. And she called me back a few days later, was asking me some questions, and why'd you move to Mexico? Why'd you write the book? Why did you do this and that? And I said, well, God told me to. And in The Bachelor, she said she thought it's such a cop-out. You can believe that, but if you watch the videos that I'm posting, other than this one, and you read what I posted on Facebook over the years, and I've written other books, and I've written a devotional. I haven't published those yet. One book I have published. You'll see that I'm genuine. Now, you don't have to believe that I really hear from God and that I obey Him and that He is doing works in me that are absolutely amazing. That's your choice. But the simple fact is I do hear God and I do obey Him and I do what He says. And I'm watching the outcome in the family that I have now. And my wife is on this same path, and I'm watching her change tremendously. Yesterday was a perfect example of it. There's a little bit of an issue or disagreement we had between us, and in the end, she did something that made it right. And it was, to me, like, wow, I mean, how far you've come. And the difference is, instead of sticking to her guns like my ex-wife did and lying and getting deeper and deeper in dysfunction, she looked at it and allowed the Spirit of God to show her things and a way to get out of it. And she did it. She obeyed. And it brings our relationship closer together. In Mexico here, I have a son that we have biologically together. He's 14 plus months old right now. Beautiful little boy. Really, really happy kid. Enjoying life. And the reason he is because we have a happy life. Enjoy each other. I've adopted 3 kids. We have an 18-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And so that's my other family. I'm 55 years old, almost just a few days away from it. And that's not what you really dream of at this time in life, but it's what God's will was for me. He showed me years ago I would adopt, and he also showed me years ago I'd have a son. And the son, by the way, you can look at some of the older videos I posted, but he's a miracle child, because at my age and having 20-some years of having been fixed after my youngest daughter and having a reversal to have him, it's not possible. And my wife is, in her 40s, and, according to them, it's not possible either. And then on top of it, to have a healthy baby was almost impossible. And the third thing that makes it like there are no odds to having a baby is there was some sacks of blood and stuff around him, and the odds of him making it through it were pretty much zero. They said, it's not going to happen. But here he is. And God promised me that. Watch the video if you're interested in more about it, because it's a lot more in detail than that. So back to the point, we have to, as people, either believe the lie and stay in the dysfunction and let it get deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's what Satan wants. He grabs you and he pulls you in deeper. And as you keep lying, you keep going deeper and deeper into the lie, to the point where you really believe it. And you can even go to your ex-husband and say, no, it's you, you're the problem. And you believe what you're saying. That's crazy. But you don't see it because you're living the lie. Or you confess up and say, you know what, I did some things wrong, and the Lord shows you what you did wrong, and you start repenting of them. And I've done that. It's not that I was a perfect husband for my ex-wife and the perfect father, because there are a lot of things I did wrong, and God showed me. And at one point I sent an email to Beth, and I said, you know what, I'm really sorry that I did these things. Please forgive me. Didn't mean I wanted her back, but I seek the forgiveness, and I don't remember what happened with that. And I did the same thing with Kelsey. I said, as a father, I was okay, as good as any, coaching their teams, taking them to school, spending time with them, providing for them, etc. But there's a lot of things that I did wrong, and I apologized to her when we were together. And I told her how I'm doing it different, and she shared some of it on The Bachelor with Peter on one of their one-on-one dates. That I told her, don't make the mistake I did of sticking your kids in daycare from day one. I said, the girls we adopted and your brother, they'll never see daycare, ever. And they won't, because it's not right. Spend time with them, be with them. Don't worry about money and stuff, focus on what's right and raise them the right way. And, there's different things that I can share with her because of what I've learned, because I did things wrong. Not all the way to the extent of the lies and the dysfunction and the craziness that comes as a result of being in lies and staying in them, but there is dysfunction in some of the things I did. But now not, I've cleaned it up. And so at this point, looking at this video, if Kelsey happens to see it or my ex-wife Beth happens to see it, you guys got to look at it and decide, are you going to hate me more because I speak the truth? Or are you going to say, you know what, that's right, I got to clean this up because it's affecting you. The bigger part of what Jesus Christ was teaching wasn't in regards to this is how you get salvation. It was, this is how you live your life according to the will of God and have a good life where you enjoy it, where there's no dysfunction, where you don't cry. Crying is a sign of weakness, even though you say you're strong, Kelsey. It's a very big sign of weakness. And you can get the strength, and I've told you this in person, that you won't be a crybaby anymore because you'll get the strength from God, and you start to come to the truth, and the truth won't let you cry. So hopefully that's what you do, because as I end all my videos, seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and then everything else will be given to you. That's what you need to do. You and your mother and your sisters and stepfather, whoever, I don't know who it all involves. But in order to come where you have the kind of life you really are seeking for, you have to come into the wisdom of God and seek His kingdom and His righteousness to do things right and not wrong. You're still doing things wrong, and that's why you still have the problems. Seek His righteousness, and then everything else will be given to you. Peace.